This is like the iced coffee I had from yesterday. Pretty good. What I did this time actually with the coffee to make it more leaded was I used the Bustelo, which is this is Cafe Bustelo. Really awesome stuff. And then I have my other coffee here, my Vietnamese coffee. And I put these two together with some heavy whipping cream. And it's really good and it's leaded and it feels great. I used to just do this and that's it, but this wasn't enough. This gives it a kick. Cafe Bustelo, which is basically an espresso, finely ground coffee. Not like the Folgers, which is okay, but it's not strong enough for me. That's why I was so addicted to Starbucks, because they use really strong coffee and they ground their coffee really fine, or you use espresso. So, and since I have these packets that have like cream and sugar, plus you add more cream to it, just gives it an amazing flavor. So I recommend this if you want to try different coffees. They're not that expensive on Amazon. For 3 of these packets that have like 25 in them, just like $31 with all the shipping. So it's actually really inexpensive. So there's my little plug for coffee, because people like to drink their coffee. So this is what I do. It doesn't mean you got to do it. This is what I do. But anyways, so yesterday was crazy frequencies. Now, I see now how these frequencies are affecting not only myself and other people. So these frequencies have different algorithms, different frequency algorithms, frequency nodes, diodes. Well, I don't say that. That's more of a mechanical. But there's different numbers to these frequencies. And I think even your body parts and just different organs and different systems in your body work off of different frequencies. So when certain frequencies come up, different parts of your body also get affected. Of course, predisposed issues. But really, when it comes down to it, I wrote in my book that we are 69 trillion microbes that have an infrastructure. And so when you have 69 trillion microbes, colony-forming units, some get too numerous or more numerous than others. And it can be like that something gets that numerous. See, in a lower frequency environment, you didn't have that much exponential growth when there was climates changing, because the climates were changed, but they would change like slowly, so you can condition yourself to the change. And so when the actual aggressive change happens, it could be from summer to fall, and then fall to winter, and then winter to spring. And so you have your cold and flu season, which is because of climate change, and you have your spring allergies because of climate change. And of course, the vegetation, when you're in a more of a vegetative, more in an area that has a lot more vegetation, then you'll get all the different allergies, like the pollens and the grasses and the seeds and all that stuff, all the fine particles from the biodiversity in the area. It's not just human particles and all of their microbes, but it also is the plant particles, the animal particles, all of their proteins and dander and all that. And so climate change is really the crux of all the different illnesses. Climate change, regardless of how often it is or how spread apart it is the reason why people get sick, and why we didn't have so much of the crazy diseases a while ago, because the climates were changing, but they weren't so drastic. And then, of course, when they're not so drastic, you're not exchanging so many microbes back and forth. And then, of course, because there was always some kind of medication. There's always some kind of, V or, public health therapy, even way back in, BC days. But nowadays, we have so many people and so much diversity, electricity and energy, and then the climate's changing. We're seeing a lot more of the exponential growth. And so when I felt jittery yesterday, because I could feel the climate changing. When I feel the climate changing, like when I feel the jitteriness, and it's not a usual feeling, okay? When I feel it, I look and see on the map to see if there's a storm anywhere in the area. And so sure enough, when I did feel jittery, I looked and saw to the left, there was a storm above Elkhart, Indiana. And my husband was on his way to that place yesterday. And so I'm like, oh, no wonder. And then I looked and saw the weather prediction for us, and it was like rain later on that day. And so yesterday I felt major climate change, jitteriness. I had to feed it. Like literally I had to feed it. I had to sit down and eat because I felt so jittery. And you can't really sleep. You want to sleep because you want to escape that type of uncomfortable feeling. But I really couldn't. And so what did I do? I just fed the energy. I fed the energy. So I was eating the pork chop with the gravy that I had left over from the weekend. I was eating my lemon pound cake. I was eating the leftover macaroni and cheese and hamburger, like a cheesy mac that I made the other day for my husband. Cheesy burger mac, whatever. What else? And drinking juice and all that. And that was enough. I mean, because when you think about it, I mean, that was enough. Did I eat anything else? I don't think I ate anything else. And so that was enough. And of course, then it's releasing the demons the next day. And so when you feel that jittery stuff, not only do you have to feed it, okay, you can't starve the jittery feelings. You can't starve when the climate's changing. Those frequencies are really intense. I mean, my husband's saying that it was sunny outside, and it was hailing, it was storming, it was raining, and it was also sunny at the same time. And so these climates that are changing, these frequencies are so insane and so intense that, yeah, I feel it. People were incapacitated. They had to actually sit down for that day. Alana Brown was saying that she couldn't really move, and it was really insane. She had to sit down because her whole body was inflamed. Well, absolutely, that's growth. And you have to also release. And so when you're feeling like the pain, like I felt the pain in my arms. That's why I showed you the lymphatic system. The lymphatic system, like back here, remember when I had the stiff neck and I had the swelling over here? I mean, I still feel a little bit of like right here, but I don't feel like pain. But I can feel that, yeah, you have an immune system and you have different lymph nodes that hold your immune system, hold all the different lymphocytes and antibodies and all these things. Or hold the infrastructure to develop them. And so when they get triggered, they get swollen. That's why you doctors, when they go and examine you, they feel the back of your neck, they feel all the different places of all your lymph nodes to see if there's swelling, to see if there's infection. And so when you feel your arms sore, when you feel your neck sore, when you feel your legs sore, when you even have dermatological issues like eczema and psoriasis, and they're coming out in the different parts of your body that are near all the different lymph nodes, it's your body releasing. You can't stop that release process. You've got to allow it to happen and help yourself by opening up your alimentary canal and releasing those demons. And so how I mitigate against potential diagnosable conditions and or potential death from natural causes is I make sure that every time the freaking climate changes, like yesterday, I feed it, allow the growth to happen because it's going to happen. You're in an excessively accelerated environment and you have life in your body that some will become more numerous than others. And so then you have to allow it to grow, feel the energy. That's what people, when they're shaking, a lot of people who feel shaking, like you see in those died suddenly groups, and they're asking the community, well, have you ever felt shaking or tremors and all that stuff? All those tremors and shaking is the body developing new growth, and it is of course affecting the motor neurons and neurological system and all the different nerves in the body. And so you feel this shaking, and it's like the buzzing of microbes. And so the only way that you can kind of calm that down is if you can sleep, if even possible, but also release the excessive microbes that are causing that kind of energy to happen. But that would also require that it would open up or it would wake up other demons, of course, that you'd have to deal with and release as well, because you can't just do the J juice and think only one symptom is going to disappear. Oh no. When you do the J world and you trigger that immune system, not saying that you should be doing J juice all the time, but when you first start on the J world, you will be waking up so many different demons that you got to deal with them all. You can't just target a demon and be strategic and surgical. That's for the medical holistic system. It's all surgical and energy rift machines, and all that. And that's why people have then domino effects of issues, because they don't deal with everything. They try to compartmentalize their body, and that's why they're in the position they're in. That's why they don't evolve, because they're compartmentalizing everything. And so you have to stop compartmentalizing everything and deal with everything as a whole, because even the holistic system is not holistic like you think. They are compartmentalizing you, and or they're developing more demons within you because of the antibiotic usage, swallowing it or putting it on your body or targeting specific areas of the body. And so people don't really deal with the system as a whole. They deal with things compartmentalized, wise, whatever. So anyways, And so yeah, so yesterday I felt the my arm just feel like right here in the crease, which I was looking, it was like the lymphatic system, and that's why I posted that picture to show you all the different areas of your lymphatic system, and then where you could potentially see, inflammation or feel pain in those areas. So that way you're not alarmed that your body is pushing things through. Even though, see, here's the thing, you can blame somebody else for whatever microbes you have, and yeah, I mean, anywhere you go. Let's say you walked over here, you walked over here, you over here, you had sex with this person over here, you traveled over here, you went to a congregation or a blessing ceremony over here, you're picking up microbes all over the place, and they are metastasizing, they are growing, or I guess replicating, they are fornicating, I guess, if you want to call it that. And so you always have a piece of wherever you go in your body. How they're allowed to grow astronomically is based upon the frequencies in your environment and how influential they are in your body. And sometimes certain colony forming units of body become more influential than others. No different than when you're in a community out there and you have like the Crips and the Bloods and the Norteños and the Sureños and the white power people and and the Harley Davidson people and who else? Banditos and the Hells Angels. And so they're all doing whatever they're doing, but one becomes really influential and then they take over. And so then you have to bring some outside force to go and temper and start controlling those influences. And that's what the government's for, is when you have all these different factions, cultures and factions and gangs and organized crime, the government has to come in and go and break them apart because they can destroy a community if they become really influential and destructive. And that's the same thing. You are the government to your body. When you have so many of those different colony forming units and you have no idea which ones they are, but you can feel it because you feel your body trying to push them out, you can't say, well, I caught this pain from over here. I mean, it's easy to say, well, I caught this pain from this V. I caught this pain from this person. I caught this pain from this crowd. I mean, yeah, there's so many factors. Okay, so the whole blame game of why you feel pain or why you have a disease is truly like a justice system. It is an absolution. It is a closure for people. It's a way where people can feel like they have a place to go when they don't know what's going on in their body. So if they can blame it on a V, blame it on a frequency, blame it on a microbe, blame it on a virus, blame it on their mom and dad, whatever they can blame it on, it gives them some kind of comfort. Okay, blame it on Satan. Okay, that they have a place to go to then, feel like that they're getting listened to. They have some kind of closure. Then they feel like they can do something about it, right? And people need to feel like they can do something, they have control. Then that's where they go and do all the justice bullshit. And that's why I said that justice, there is no such thing as actual justice. That's just a place for people to go who don't know, who don't take responsibility, who don't know really, who are young and or who just don't know how to take responsibility. And you can have someone who is 50, 60, 70 years old be in the justice system and not take responsibility and or keep their mouth shut and let people, convict them or find evidence to then beyond reasonable doubt to convict them, because that's what's going on with the Murdoch case, right? And so I said there really is no justice system when you think about it. There is, in a way, to give people closure. That's what I meant to say, is that the justice system gives people closure. Blaming somebody gives people closure or a way to characterize what's going on so they don't ever have to realize where they've become responsible. And believe me, I learned so much when I was in the justice system dealing with all the bullshit that I dealt with. And I have no problem defending myself if anyone does anything on to whatever, if they want to blame me for something. I have no problem defending myself and countersue. But I don't want to go down that road. Who wants to be caught up in the circus, in the drama, the trauma of the justice system? Anyone that needs a lawyer, drama, complete drama. Anyone that has to go and are so litigious, drama. That's why when you run a company, when you're dealing with so many people, employees and officers of the company and all the vendors and all that, yeah, you have to have a lot of lawyers. You have to have so many contracts. You got to be litigious, and that's a lot of stress. Okay, and so you really have to have a lot of people, and you have to have a team of people behind you, so that way you can survive the vultures out there, because there are so many vultures out there, so many trolls, vultures, scavengers, You see, the justice system breeds so many scavengers. And so I learned that, you know, the way that you can alleviate all of that bullshit is to cut down your social capital. Because the more people you entertain, the more risk you entertain, the more you have to be exposed to vultures, trolls, scavengers, and also have to use the justice system. And, you know, and so the more autonomous you become, the more that you take personal responsibility, personal accountability, the more peaceful your life is without resting in peace. That's when you are actually more autonomous than not, when you're not relying on everyone out there to freaking prop you up and to make you feel, you know, worthy, I'll tell you, it's a power, it's a freedom, it is like no other, and you don't have to freaking die. Because that's right now where people are going to get their peace, is when they pass away. That's the only place where they're going to get their peace, because right now they are in war after war after war, case after case after case. They are resisting, they are defending, they are doing whatever. They're not even informing. That's the thing, is that people think, oh yeah, I'm doing stuff to inform people, to bring awareness. No, they're resisting, they're defending. Sorry, whatever. I know it sounds gross, but sometimes it's necessary. But they're not really comfortable in their own skin. They're not comfortable with their own belief system. And so they're continuously in a war with themselves. And when you're in a war with yourself, you're in a war out there. And so there's a difference between informing the public without being at war with yourself, without being at war with somebody else. We live in a diverse world. I have amazing people on my Facebook that we have differences, yes. And I do the best I can not to cross, you know, or to violate boundaries, to overstep boundaries. I have a respect for the people on my Facebook. And they have a respect for me. That's why I haven't blocked you. That's why we share certain things, other things that, you know, we don't share in the same, you know, beliefs, but that's okay. It doesn't matter. I have some really amazing people who we have completely different ways of doing things and beliefs. And so, awesome. Yeah, no problem, John. And so, but there are people out there who don't have the boundaries, who are at constant war with themselves. And so you have to put down those measures, because they live in the justice system. They live in trying to bring justice to people. And I'm saying you don't want to take the law in your own hands. Okay? My advice to younger people and my younger self is learn the ways of the world. And sometimes you might have to learn the hard way. Okay? But survive those situations and learn from it, and don't ever repeat them. Don't ever repeat them. Because when you keep repeating the same mistakes, then it's like, what's the point? Then that's when you're in a broken record. Okay? When you keep repeating the same mistakes, when you're trying to convert somebody else into whatever, when you're trying to save somebody else, or you're trying to destroy somebody else, again, that is the destructive, looping, scavenging, vulturish type of behavior, which we need scavengers and vultures, but they also have a lifespan. And my advice, of course, to everyone out there is don't become something that they have to clean up. Okay, that's what I told Dinah Deborah, is that, yeah, you know, scavengers and vultures are necessary, just like the bottom feeders are necessary, but don't be what they're feeding on. And so then I'm saying, well, then feed the demons, but then release them as well. That's why I say don't attack the microbes in your body, because you have no idea what you're really trying to attack. You're attacking your whole body when you attack microbes that you think is parasitic. No, you feed all the demons in your body, and then you open up the freaking floodgates without causing your body to open up so much that it doesn't evolve, and you release the demons in a strategic way. And I'm not saying use the J juice all the time. I'm not saying use a detox all the time. I'm not saying use all the different things, all the diuretics, because there's a lot of diuretics out there that people use. They think they're releasing the demons, but in actuality, you're forcing the body to open up, and then you cause the body to go into even more defense because you don't know how to strategically do it. You're using really aggressive elements to open up your system. And so, but that's really what, another advice I would give is to feed the demons, don't demonize them, and release them. And face them if you need to, because, well, let me tell you, once you understand how scavengers work and how vultures work and how trolls work, it's no different than looking at the bottom of the seafloor versus the top of the seafloor. It's no different than looking outside and seeing the maggots that are feeding on the dead cells, right? And so bottom feeders and scavengers and vultures feed on the dead out there. They feed on those who are already dying. And so when you are constantly suffering, you are then sending off signals for the vultures to come out and feed upon the remnants. And so that's why when people say, oh yeah, pray for this person because they are in the hospital again, or they have this disease or that disease, or they have this, you see all the vultures come from all parts of the world, right? And they're like, oh, hearts and prayers, I pray for you, I pray for this. And that in reality, they're feeding on that energy, that, and because that situation will end up being dire, okay? And so they're taking what they can. And people are offering up their family and their friends for people to go and take energy from. And the people who are receiving that, they think it's a gift. Yeah, they're helping you rest in peace because right now you're suffering. And so when you have everybody converge and feeding on you, they're helping you rest in peace. It's a very spiritual thing. So that's the thing is that, again, when you are suffering so much on Facebook, the vultures come out. And so there's a way to explain things so you can release the demons without being cannibalized. Yeah, it's hard not to attract vultures because they won't know if you're dying or not. That's when you see those vultures that like out there when someone's in the middle of the desert, and maybe they'll survive. Maybe they have water, but there's some parts of them that are dying. But maybe there's water over there that once they get to it, they'll start living again, right? But the vultures don't know that. So they see only the journey towards that, but maybe you make it, maybe you don't. It's still a crapshoot that 100 feet can make you or break you. So you could be broken 50 feet from that water and the vultures come out and eat the carcass. And so, yeah, you could be suffering and all this other stuff. The vultures come out and it's up to you to not be something they have to clean up. And so that's also, so when someone says, oh yeah, the weak only attack, the weak only attack the weak because of something. And I'm like, what? You have the one to determine whether or not you're weak or strong. You're the one that determines if you're going to be something that a maggot or a vulture or a scavenger is going to clean up. You're the one that determines that. But during that process of part of the old world dying off, the vultures will come out and eat the dying old world, but then you have a chance to renew yourself. You have a chance to recoup the resources lost because of you releasing those demons, okay? And so even the vultures and scavengers aren't really your enemy. You just have to understand how to utilize them and also how to feed them and then release them. And that's like people in your life too, because there's people in your life that are vultures or scavengers that you are friends with every single day, but you don't look at them as vultures and scavengers because that's not how we characterize friends and family and associations out there. But when you look at how you interact and you look at the outcome of all these different relationships out there, then you see the vulture type of scavenging type of situation. You see how people interact. And so even families, especially around someone who is dying and they have a huge estate, the vultures and the scavengers come out, but they wouldn't necessarily characterize their kids, their next of kin, or anyone that's their beneficiaries of vulture or scavenger. But that's sometimes the mentality of things aren't organized and how they dole out the estate. And so then there is that scavenging, trolling, vulturish behavior. Okay? So, I tell you, it's an everyday thing. Like today, I don't feel too many of the frequencies today. I don't feel jittery right now. I mean, it's 7:47. They could turn up the freaking frequencies right now and I could feel, but I don't see any inclement weather in the forecast. I looked at my Doppler radar. I don't see any kind of green or red or whatever to the left of me or the right of me or to the left of me, because that's really everything comes to the left or from the south. And so today, I'll get some shit done and do whatever. But yesterday was a little bit crazy. And so I'll tell you, with all the different storms, and we're heading into spring, you will feel a lot of colony forming units, and you're going to have to release those demons without compromising the rest of your body. And that is going to take some time. And if that means that you have to sit and relax for a minute, that means you have to sit and release those demons in the ways that I said, if that is possible for you, and you have to feed them as well, you do that. But, you know, you're going to see a lot more because we're heading into spring and summer. Spring and summer is insane. It's going to be insane, spring and summer. Some of you are going to be feeling it so much. Right now, it's the calm before the storm. Because we're in March. It really was, I mean, it was a cold winter. Over there in California, 10 feet of snow. That snow over there, like in Truckee and Lake Tahoe, Pollock Pines. I used to go hang out over there. Even in the wintertime, it was pretty aggressive. Like, I haven't seen that much snow like that in California. Like, over here in Ohio, we get snow. There's a few times where it was pretty aggressive, but 10 feet, 15 feet of snow, that's unheard of ever in my world. Okay, in my lifetime. And it's now going to be kind of like the norm. And then you see then the future maps so that, yeah, certain areas are going to be sunk into the ocean because of how much precipitation and water and moisture is going to be deluging parts of the U.S. And so when you see that kind of stuff, people need to actively figure out how they're going to move away from those areas, those coastal areas, between now and 2030, if not sooner. Because they're saying 2030 is most likely when things are going to be even more aggressive. Before that, right now we're ramping it up. We're getting conditioned for it. So when I looked at where I was on the map, and it's relatively okay, but I got to survive the tornadoes. But I have an amazing immune system. I blow my nose, I poop, I pee. I am not adverse to feeling whatever I have to feel to get through, you know, the body pushing everything through the lymph nodes and not through my alimentary canal. And it requires blowing your nose and coughing if need be and sneezing. And once I've taken care of my business in the morning, then it's surviving that day with eating and taking care of whatever I have to take care of, sleeping, and then being prepared for the next climate change. And it could be tomorrow, it could be next week, it could be whenever. You have to now be so on point and expect to feel pain. Because many of you have not done what I've done the last 6 years and released demons systematically. A lot of you have still kept the demons within you because of your practices in the holistic and the allopathic world. And so now all the climate change and the weather changing and the frequencies are going to bring up your situation even more. Some of you are still going to cure yourself until you can't be cured anymore, and then either you'll get a breakthrough infection of which you can't come back from because it'll be too painful because you haven't conditioned yourself to deal with it, or people just die suddenly. That's the other side of it. People just die suddenly because they do not have the capacity to deal with that kind of aggressive change. Because we used to be conditioned in a slower frequency to lead up to winter, spring, summer, fall type of climate change. But now it's just happening like that. And people are not prepared. They're caught off guard and they have weird lumps and bumps and they're taking themselves to the hospital and they're feeling stuff and they don't know how to deal with it. So what do? They go and circulate in the holistic world or the energy healing world using frequencies against their body. And so the body can't handle that kind of cure anymore. And they have to have breakthrough infection. They don't even survive that. And so I'm saying, you know, now is the time when you just to start dealing with the pain, because the more you try to take the pain away, the less tolerant you become, the more susceptible to a die suddenly or a breakthrough infection. That'll be so painful, and there'll be no antibiotics. I'm telling you, I'm watching some of these died suddenly groups, and they're like, yeah, I have a kid who has all these infections. They don't know what it is. They keep giving her antibiotics. It doesn't work. They keep giving her antibiotics. It doesn't work. And they're like, they don't know what to do. Yeah, because we're in a climate change. That antibiotic may have worked for a second, and then the climate changed, and it doesn't work anymore. They get antibiotic resistance. At some point, your body's going to have antibiotic resistance. And then you have to be forced to face the pain, and people don't. And so then they take stronger drugs until they're actually destroyed. And that's what people are facing right now, who are adverse to pain, who cannot deal with the changing conditions, who don't want to feel pain, who don't want to release, and are relying on being distracted all the time. They can't face their demons. And so I've already told you guys, you got to face the pain. You got to get away from the holistic market, get away from the allopathic market. But some of you will figure it out the hard way, or you won't figure it out at all. You will not learn because you will not be around to learn because you will be passed away. But that is from your own doing. Nothing that anyone else did to you. You did it to yourself. All right, bye.